I just want to say welcome to episode 156 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. All right, well, let's bring some of these racers on. Kind of the first thing I want to do is talk about who they are, what they race, and then just a quick recap of their Rocky Mountain Race Week story. So we're going to bring them both on at the same time. Actually, all three of them on at the same time. So one of these screens is Mr. Brad Thiessen, and in quotations there or parentheses, he's got Blaine's dad. So you're famous on your own.
Not everyone.
You don't need to, you don't need to say Blaine for us to know who you are, because you're kind of a badass, dude.
Look at my converter over.
So. Brad, tell us what's up, man. What do you drive? I see it there in the background. And then what kind of times you ran at Rocky Mountain?
Yeah, Brad Thiessen, also known as Blaine's dad. That's how I get introduced sometimes in this industry, but that's okay. I appreciate it. And he's done a lot in this industry, so that's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Yes, he is. So it's a 1970 Nova. It was actually my first car. Let's see, my dad bought it used in like 1973-ish. And so I was like 3 or 4 years old when it was our family car. And I grew up in the thing, and that's the only car we had for a long time until I was 14 when I bought it from him, and he went and bought something else. And it started out as a 6-cylinder 3-speed on the floor, actually, and quickly threw in a 350 small block and a 4-speed and just played around with it in high school. And then it kind of sat as the we had kids and they were growing up. And then when we started, I think it was 2014, Blaine and I went on our first drag week and just got hooked. And on that event, I said, I got to do something with the Nova. And of course it took a lot of years later, but finally got there. So
what did y'all take on 2014?
Blaine had his 2001 Camaro.
Oh, sweet.
Yep, we were just cruising along. He was learning HP tuners on that event, and that was exciting. We had to stop a few times and reboot, but it went okay.
That's awesome. And then in the other screen, we've got Donovan Linwood and Nate Curran, who I'm going to bring up the photos here in just a second. But dudes, what's up? I like that we're going to be in the same room. This is going to be kind of fun because I'm sure this is going to play for more fun stories as we go along. So same thing for you guys, man. Tell us what you raced. Tell us how much fun you had.
So Donovan, I got a 89 Fox Body Mustang, an Outlaw 85 car, small tire, rowdy radial, 8th mile car, just a turbo power glide, gear vendor, real basic.
Yeah, real basic, goes 7s.
It's been 7s. It's out of gear by about 1,000 foot, so it's coasted in the 7s.
Nice. Nate, what about you, buddy?
Nate Curran, I have an 80 Fairmont T56 car, LS turbo, super basic, just a 5.3 deal.
Yeah, I want to get nerdy with you here in just a little bit and talk about Marys and all the kind of stuff. But we don't need to do that right as we introduce you guys.
Stick shift info.
Oh yeah, for sure. We need more info. And then bringing on now Mr. Jason Hurley, the quickest man at Rocky Mountain Race Week. What's up, dude? Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey guys, I'm trying to figure out my audio here.
Oh,
okay.
Well, here's Donovan and Nate's car. What's going on in this picture on the right? Is that an officer?
That is. We were actually just draining the catch can, but nothing bad.
Officer, my foot slipped because we needed to drain the catch can. I needed to help.
Yeah.
Nice. Cassie Lowry says she's here. We're here for all the stick shift talk.
Oh boy.
Racers and fun. Jason, can you hear us yet? Oh, he has muted his mic. Nice. Well, Jason drives the quickest car of Rocky Mountain Race Week, which I didn't grab a picture of, sadly. So that's the way it goes sometimes. I'd like to actually, Tom, I'm going to move you down here because this will be kind of fun. So this is twofold having Tom on here with us because Tom also raced at Rocky Mountain Race Week. So we can kind of go through some of these stories. So I just want to work through how did your week go? Like, were you running times you were expecting? Were you thrashing before the event to get your car ready? All that kind of stuff. We'll start with Brad.
Oh, kind of. So, we were trying out these new BTR cannon valve heads, and they've been having trouble getting castings, but they're finally getting there and getting them produced. And of course, I wasn't on the priority. They needed to get their production runs going. So we finally got some heads. I had to have some custom work done to accommodate the solid roller lifters and rockers. So they custom made some stands, and boy, it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the event, finally got them, and I thrashed to get them on, drove back out to Kentucky to get on the dyno to prove them out, and it made overall made about 150 horsepower more with just changing the heads. That's the only thing we changed. So
Wow.
and consistently getting more power with lower boost. So they do perform well. We went to a peak of 2150 horsepower, so that was pretty nice to hit that number. So yeah, so we were thrashing pretty good, and then got back from that, and everything held together. So we got ready for Rocky Mountain Race Week and made it there.
Looking for a forged piston kit for your vehicle? You need Molly Motorsport Power Pack. What is Power Pack? It's the ultimate forged piston kit that comes complete with pistons, performance file fit rings, hot string steel pins, and clips, all engineered to work together. So all you have to do is build something great. Find your Power Pack at mollymotorsport.com.
All right, where do you live?
I live in central Kansas. I'm only 70 miles from Great Bend. Kind of our home.
Right. What? Yeah. Donovan and Nate wish they lived that close too. They don't live 10 or more, I guess, probably. Tell the layman here, what's the difference in a regular cylinder head and a canted valve head?
Well, so if you're familiar with big block Chevy heads, they're a canted valve. So the valves are not straight in a line. They're angled to get more performance and more flow in the heads. And the guys at Brian Tooley Racing, Rick Smith, and Blaine was involved with that, and Paris, those guys did a lot of work to really develop those heads over the past few years to make them flow really good, and they make a lot of power. And they've made them stronger too. They're a thicker deck. They actually use an spark plug because the deck is thicker. They're cooling around the spark plug, and there's a lot of features to these heads that you don't see that really make them work well.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember seeing the post about them coming out with them, but didn't know what all that meant. And that's a big deal because, they've been working on those for years, trying to get those to come out and make it work.
Yep.
Wow. Donovan, we know you thrashed to get your stuff ready, and Nate too, man. Is that like a thing for the fast guys? For folks that don't know, these are the four quickest racers of Rocky Mountain Race Week, and Tom.
Yeah, and me. I'm not quick.
Dude, you're in a 951, bro.
Yeah, it took 48 pounds of dome pressure to do it.
Hey, that's all right. Throw 58 at it next time. We'll see. Donovan, thrash for you. I mean, you completely rebuilt that car. Was this the first event out with the new stuff or no?
Yeah, I did a track rental, local track rental that fought some issues pretty much the whole time and didn't really get any testing or data in that was useful. So yeah, it was pretty much first time out. The car was, I thought, ready, and then of course the longer that it sits there and the more that I look at it, the more I have to tear stuff apart and change and go through and I can make this better and I got time, and all of a sudden you look and go, oh shit, I need to be in the trailer.
Yeah, I've got 2 weeks. Oh, I've got 2 hours. Oh shit. Yeah. Nate decided 3 weeks before the event to completely rebuild everything. So tell us what the heck you had going on, dude.
I don't know what I was even thinking. I had small primary header tubes on it before, so of course I didn't work on it until probably 4 weeks before the event.
Yeah.
I didn't start on the car and just completely rebuilt the hot side, and then had to change a little bit of the cold side to make that big stupid bumper I put on it fit.
That bumper's awesome, dude.
It is
It's awesome.
But yeah. I was prepared for snow in the mountains for sure. But yeah, just the hot side really. From last year, the short block and the tranny clutch, all that, nothing ever came out of the car. I guess I did change the rear end housing and all that too this off season.
Very last minute as well. But the tranny, clutch, and short block never came out of the car. So, but it was a thrash for sure. And pass one was the first pass on the whole new setup. I drove it 20 miles down the road to load it on a trailer with Brady. And that's the only driving it had before the event.
Right. What size primaries run it before?
1.5 inches.
Oh wow. So
it is a small motor, but I'm trying to rev it really high, so was just trying to get it to flow a little better. And I probably went a little excessive with it. I put 2-inch primaries, and it's a stock block, stock stroke crank 5.3. So it's a small motor, but it seems happy at high RPMs now.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has the flow. When you do that, your run from your headers to your turbo, did that grow as well, or did all that kind of stuff stay the same?
That all grew as well. It was before it was 1.5 inch primaries with a 2.5 crossover, and I went to 3-inch, so it's 2-inch primaries with a 3-inch crossover, and then flares to a 4-inch into the T6 flange, and the other side just merges directly into it.
Hell yeah! So why that?
Why that?
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, why do that big of a change right before?
I'm an idiot.
Why not?
Well, right. I mean, I'm not.
I don't know. I had an idea and it kind of worked out for me, I guess.
Well, and then we were talking on day one about the intercooler setup too. So tell people kind of what went on there, because that's a big change, I think, as far as like, and my question being, did it spool faster because of that change?
I mean, I couldn't tell you if it spooled any faster because of that change, because the whole hot side changed. And then I also put a really big 88 on the car that wasn't on the car before. So I changed too many things to tell you if one of those things helped. But I did end up taking 3.5 feet of charge pipe off the passenger side of the car and just doing a backdoor intercooler that's direct fed by the turbo.
Dude,
so
did everybody hear that? 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet, like 42 inches of piping, bro. That's gotta help.
I just wanted it to be a nice big sweep before, so it wasn't like a hard angle there. So it was probably excessive before, but I don't know. In my head, I think it helped.
Yeah, it had to, man. It had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And of course, the big front bumper, the big opening, all that kind of stuff, that helps as well. Jason Hurley changed a bunch of shit too. Like, Jason, you got us now. What all did you change as you went into Rocky Mountain Race Week?
What all did we change? Obviously, we changed the turbos, and that meant bigger up pipes, bigger down pipes. That meant new lower fenders. We put the air jacks on. Gosh, what the hell else? Oh, yeah, bigger throttle body. We're on the 123 millimeter Wilson Max Boost or Pro Boost, whatever it is, throttle body and elbow now. That meant a hole in the hood. Yeah, the typical one thing led to another, and tons of crap here and there.
When did you test fit the hood? How many days before the event?
What did we cut the hole in the hood? 2 days before?
Yeah, 2 days before.
Yeah. Nico's sitting right next to me here. So
Nice. So
yeah.
Did you go to put the hood on with, bro?
I mean, we had an inkling, like, as soon as we put that elbow on there, that it wasn't going to fit. Didn't really worry about it at the time, and then confirmed that it wouldn't fit, and told Brent that he had to cut the hole in it. So
You were going to do it.
Leave it to someone else to screw up.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't want to cut the hole in it. Brent's way more meticulous than I am. So
A whole saw. There you go. That'll work.
right.
Tom made some huge changes too, dude. Tell us about what you all did before Rocky Mountain.
Yeah, so I didn't start wrenching on my junk until 5 days before the event. We changed the drive shaft yoke, we changed the door bars, we changed like valve covers and stuff, which was a whole ordeal. New cooling system, which is again a nightmare because it was like, oh yeah, buy bolt-in stuff. None of it fit because it's a Fox body. Basically, they've all been in an accident at some point in their life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I left on the Wednesday before race week, and then it puked both head gaskets out of it in Tulsa the day before.
Yeah,
which was
so
not
the
fun.
entire day of tech it was during tech you got it swapped and then made your first pass at like what, 10 o'clock, 10:30?
We were in the lanes at 10:30, and then they had a big oil down, so they shoved us into the you haven't made a pass yet lane. We made a pass at like 12:30.
You had to be one of the last ones to make a pass then.
Yeah, we were there. They literally tucked the car in the pit while I had the heads off it. No, I remember the tech guy coming over and he's like checking all the stuff, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we need to test the battery shut off." I'm like, well, that's not possible with the heads not on.
Yep, it works.
Yeah, so yeah, it was an ordeal, but we made it. So
Man, that's crazy. All right, well, let's loop again here. What'd you do right during the week? What went right? Start with you, Brad.
Well, I think we did pretty good on the drives. The drives are fairly uneventful, thank goodness. That long drive, well, that was a long one, 580-ish miles? That was
I think something
brutal.
like that, yeah.
I think it took us 16 hours. It may have taken some more or less, but
God. Did you do that in one day or did you split it up?
we did it all in one day. Yeah,
Oh, my God,
Yeah.
dude.
we did. I think the only problem we had
Stud.
was Blaine had a fuel cell that started to develop a crack, and so we had to seal that up, and that was about it. So that was good. We did that right. I think, not just, I guess also it wasn't pushing the car too hard this time, didn't need to win the class. So I think that was another smart thing to do this time as well.
Man, what about you guys?
I mean, my biggest thing was finally just realizing that I had something screwed up in the car, and I made a big bar adjustment and big change halfway through coming into Pueblo, and it just so happened to be the right change. I guessed very right.
Nice. Nate, what about you, dude?
I would say that with a stick car, something's always on the verge of trying to break itself or whatever. And I think that I was fairly cautious about making sure I had a one and done pass at the track before. Every day I told myself, if it gets down, I'll turn it up if I have to and try to send it down. But I just got super lucky and was able to one and done every day without having to work on the car.
Right. I think in the recap I wrote, you were the quickest pass every day, right? In stick
Yeah.
shift?
Yeah.
Man, that's
Luckily.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, that takes some skill there. Jason, what about you? What'd you do right, dude?
You know, anybody that's been around us or with us, especially on race week, knows that we always night drive. And we took a big gamble this year because I had my daughter Bobby Joe racing Junior Street, and Roxanne was, driving my pickup Cholo, pulling the camper for her. So we took a gamble to try day driving, and it actually worked out really, really well for us. Surprisingly, it was stressful for me. I like to get there as fast as I can and be there as early as I can so I can deal with any problems that we have. But it actually worked out really well. It made for a much more relaxed week overall.
Interesting. So, I mean, Bobby Joe's she's probably not giving up a driver's spot, but I wondered if that would be your new normal, even if they weren't racing.
You know, I don't know about 2.0 because 2.0 doesn't have the drive days and it's a little more crammed together, So we'll kind of see on that, but I would be looking for us to do more day driving on Rocky Mountain in the future.
Yeah. And Donovan, Nate, did y'all make the drive in a day or did y'all split it up?
Nope, it was all in a day. I think it took us 18 or 19 hours, but
You
it
guys
was
are
a day.
wild.
Oh, that one we did not get in one day.
Maybe.
Unlikely to me, but
Yeah. Man, I can't imagine driving a car at your level at that for that long.
we would have made it in one day, but the car started going lean about the time that we hit Colorado, and instead of just throwing more fuel at it in the tune, I got super, super cautious because we've had so many issues, in the past with melting pistons and everything else. So we must have spent 8 hours trying to diagnose it, I would say, at least 6 anyhow. So we made it to Mark Williams, I think at like 11 or 11:30 that night, and then finished it the next day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does your trailer have? I guess your trailer probably has trailer brakes, being that you've done so many Rocky Mountains.
Oh yeah, yeah. It doesn't have leaf springs right now, but it has trailer brakes.
Nico, does that stabbing cabin have trailer brakes?
Yeah, it's got trailer brakes. I put a brake controller in my Mustang too, so that
Nice.
definitely came in really handy around like Central City and all that.
Yeah, yeah, I can only imagine. What's that trailer weigh?
The title said like 1,500 or something like that, but I'm sure it's all of 2,000 with all the stuff loaded into it. I kind of want to get on the scales just to see where it's really at. I honestly have no clue.
I bet a margarita on 2650.
One of the best things about Tom being on tonight is he is one of our race car friends. So like I say this every week, like, thank you for being our race car friends. Thank you for all the stuff you guys do for us. Tom is one of those people that does that stuff for us, and other folks are going to be on tonight. So it's going to be kind of fun hanging out with them, and the comments I'm sure are going to pop off as they are already because you are in here. So it's going to be awesome. And then of course, thank you to our sponsors who make all of this possible. Without those guys, without these folks on the screen, we couldn't do what we do here. So just want to run through them real quick. Summit Racing, of course, title sponsor of the show, the news, and the circuit. I mean, they're a big part of not just what we do here, but all of Drag and Drive, not just sponsors, but also racers. Tommy Dupree, Jim Greenleaf are racing at Drag Week, dude. This is going to be fun. Tommy's new car, he did turn and burn in it. I mean, dude, this thing's going to be nuts. I can't wait to get my hands all over it and look at it and touch it. Of course, Deech Works, the official fuel delivery of Drag Drive Repeat, but also the official fuel delivery of UK Tom as well, bro.
Oh yeah.
Big part of that 951.
Yeah, put that system to work, and we went 990s at like 8,500 feet VA. So didn't need it there, but we needed it down south, and yeah,
that's for sure. Molly Motorsports, of course, best stuff, best pistons in the game, pistons, rings, all that kind of cool stuff. They've got Driven Racing Oil, who's at Six Summer right now in the truck and their brand new trailer. And Eric, if you're watching this, I need footage of the trailer, bro. We need footage of the Driven trailer that's up there. Of course, Howard's Cams, our boy Luke B over there, valve train specialist. I mean, that dude can get stuff done. The old truck running Howard's Cam stuff. J-Wire Solutions, who's on Six Summer right now. So you can call the shop. People are going to answer. They're still doing work that week, but Jay Blanchard of J-Wire Solutions is working right now, leading the 6th Street Race class. AFCO Performance Products, of course, Eric and Rex French over there, bro. If you want to go fast, is AFCO suspension's the way to go. Performer built transmissions, GM transmission builders. They put a 4L60 in the 7s. I know I say that every time, but it still blows my mind, dude. It's still pretty wild.
Crazy.
can do that.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, Car Change 3D. Big shout out to Corey Nicholson, who made a post that I thought was really cool. He said, "What should we do for these drag and drive guys? What are products that we can put out?" So I've got some ideas whirling around in my head. Best 3D printing folks out there in the game, and Low Dollar Motorsports. Do you have a couple Low Dollar Motorsports sensors?
I do. We have a couple of Low Dollar Motorsport sensors. Got the boost pressure sensor, wastegate pressure, oil pressure, which isn't actually wired up, but it's there, and shifter sensor. So yeah, it's great.
That's
Love
awesome.
that
Well,
stuff.
guys, if you're doing some shopping, hit these guys up. Help support them. Help support us. All that kind of fun stuff. All right.